So this Grizzly G1035P is still a unit made by Grizzly. You can still get parts for it. They still sell it. Actually, they don't sell the polar version, the white one. They sell the green one. That's without the P on the end, but it's the same machine, just slightly different accessories, right? Same motor, same horsepower. It's all the same. So this here is the cast iron insert. You take that out to do the really big shaper cutter. Now, when you remove this, you typically want to be on the 7,000 RPM speed, and when you use the aluminum one or thereabouts, then you want to be on the 10,000 RPM speed. Right? The nice thing about this particular machine is it's pretty durable, and it's powerful enough to do pretty much anything that you need to do. The only reason to get, say, a 5 horsepower shaper over a machine like this is if you absolutely have to, make big cuts all at once. You can't step up to them. That's not really a concern for, any kind of a low production quantity, setup. Like if you're a hobby guy, or if you're just gonna make this machine like a dedicated roundover unit, then you don't need 5 horsepower for that, right? Well, unless, your roundover is like 4 inches. So a machine like this can have a place in almost any shop, even in an industrial setting, as like a single-use machine, or just a light-duty machine, or an extra, when you just need that extra machine to be able to go through all your operations in one go, right? We're also including the original owner's manual here. Some of the main points about this machine are that it's got an actual steel cabinet. It's powder coated. It includes both spindles, the 1/2-inch router chuck and the 3/4-inch spindle. So this machine comes with these 2 spindle wrenches. What you do is you put this one on the nut, and then this one on the top of the spindle, and that allows you to tighten down your cutter or loosen it, and that's how you change the cutter. So these wrenches are used on the top, so you don't even have to raise and lower the spindle to change the cutter, right? So always use 3/4-inch spindle cutters, as opposed to the router bit spindle. You have to get under the bit to get to the chuck, and then you need to get like an offset wrench or whatever, or just raise it up really high to get at the nut at the very bottom of the spindle. So I don't recommend using that router bit spindle at all. Other features are that it's a 120 machine. It's got a regular 3-prong plug on it, so it'll plug into any regular outlet. It does have an indicator. That's about it for the standard features. So next, let me go into some of the stuff we added. One is that we made these handles go down through the slot here, and then into the machine and lock it down. What you can do is you can just loosen these up a little bit, and then you can move the machine like this. See, on the regular version of this machine, it doesn't have that ability. As Grizzly sells the machine, you just have these 2 holes at the top. We elongated them to make these slots, and then instead of having a bolt that you had to get in here with a wrench to loosen, we made these long handles so that you can do all of this from the top and without tools. So what's nice about that is, let's say I'm here, but I want to change to a different bit, so I'm going to have a completely different depth. If I have a really big bit, I'm going to want to come forward, right? Maybe to like there, right? And then I just have to tighten these 2 down, and that's it, I'm done. Well, the way that a standard machine you would have to do this is you'd have to find the appropriate hole, and then you have to take these fine adjust thumb screws here and turn these, and it's just very time consuming. So this is a huge improvement for this machine. Just we put these nice fences on here. If I bring you, well, here, let's look at this first. So this is how you change the width on the fence. You just loosen those 2 knobs, and then that allows you to slide this, whatever width you want it, and get it right up next to whatever size cutter you've got. I know this looks fiddly, but trust me, it's nothing compared to the way Grizzly wanted you to do it. The way Grizzly wanted you to do it you had to you had various holes in the fence, right? And what you had to do is take these off and then move it to the other holes, and then all you got was like an inch of back and forth play. Having it this way with the T-slot, you never have to take these handles off. You just have to, you know, kind of wiggle them around so that you can move the fence where you want it, right? It wants to come out really easy, but it doesn't want to go in. You got to kind of hold these with 3 hands over here to get it to come in and out easily. On the front, though, this is something that we didn't know how big of a deal this was going to be, but when you're pushing wood through the machine, having a Formica surface like this, nice and, you know, shiny and slippery, you don't have to push so hard, right, to move things along, and the wood doesn't get stuck as it's sliding through, right? So these are just wonderful. And what you've got here is you can take a featherboard like this, and I promise you it's never that easy. And they make featherboard extensions as well. And what that'll do is it'll bring the featherboard away from the surface it's mounted to. We've got the T-slots on this, but there's also, you can get a featherboard like this, and that'll go into the miter slot. And if you want to remove these T-slots so that you can just use the miter slot ones, if those work for you, that's great. The featherboards put, you know, a lot of pressure down, and because these surfaces are nice and smooth, you know, you're good to go. Another accessory we're including with these machines is two of these push blocks. This is made of some conveyor belt, some rubber conveyor belt material, and they're nice and big. They're not like the tiny little push blocks that you get. So here's a really neat feature on this machine. We've got these brackets on the side, and we've cut out the miter slots on both sides, so you can use a miter all the way through. But check this out: these brackets accept this extension table, right? And you'll get an extension table with the machine. So a full turn in the right direction, yeah, and it's locked on and won't fall off. Okay. So what's nice about this is when you have something really long, it can be difficult when you only have a little tiny table to hold something level and feed it at the same time, right? But with something like this, it's a lot more difficult, you know, to mess up and get something off level as it's feeding through the machine. So this is a great feature, and you'll get both brackets and a full table, and we tried to do a Kickstarter on that, so we've got a couple extra tables around. So if you want more tables, you know, that won't be a problem either. This part is a replacement. Otherwise, it would be white, right? Grizzly only makes the green version of this machine now, and so when we ordered the replacement part, it was green. But what we did was we set a plastic insert in there that makes it so that there's a really nice friction fit on the shop vac. And a shop vac is all you really need for something like this, because all you care about really are the very light dust particles, right? So if you've got a vacuum going in there, usually the dust particles will move, you know, because they're really tiny, and they'll go with the air where the air wants to go, right? And so you don't necessarily need a full like big dust collector for this type of a machine. But if you end up using that, you just need a adapter. You can get it at any Rockler or wood craft, or you can even order one from Grizzly if you want. So anyway, the shop vac does not come with the machine, but the plastic insert is in there. That's going with the machine. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to, you know, demonstrate the machine all in one take. So let's see what happens. I got, bad. No, gotta flip that over. All right, so the machine wants to go counterclockwise, right? And so we need to set the shaper bit counterclockwise. I mean, I guess technically you could go the other way if you wanted. Maybe it's for left-handers to do that. I'm not sure. But like all my feather boards are set up to go the other way. You know, I like to feed this way on the machine. Because the machine can go either way, a lot of the bits can do that as well. You know, well, I say a lot. Definitely a tongue and groove could, right? But like any kind of a profile usually has to go in one direction, and that's going to be counterclockwise, okay? So I got a scrap piece of wood here. I've got push blocks. All right. Oh, yep. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. I was standing there thinking ahead, saying, what do I need to get through this all in one take? All right, so. All right, so that's down. So let's get those out of the way. All right. So now, what do I need? Ooh, I need a ruler. Hold on. All right, so for a groove cutter, in order to set the depth, it's good to have a ruler around. All right, so I gotta tighten my fence down. I promise you, you're gonna think these small handles on the fence here are fiddly, and that there has to be something better, and then you're gonna try something else, and you're gonna go back to these. So we want the cutter to touch the ruler so that we're not taking any additional thickness off our part. All right, so I've got a piece of wood. It's a horrible piece of wood. Would have been nice if I had got something that was semi-straight, right? All right, but this will work. All right, we got our hearing protection. I was playing with the on-off switch when I was showing you could do forward and reverse. Oh, right. Yeah, okay, so that, when you turn the switch counterclockwise, it turns the spindle counterclockwise, right? And when you turn the switch clockwise, it turns the spindle clockwise. So, but we're gonna do counterclockwise because that's how we loaded the tooling. Okay, it didn't seem to make a difference. No, there's a very slight scallop right here. I don't think you'll see it. If I were to run it through again, I'll do that in a second. But let me just tell you some of the things I did wrong. This is why you always start with a scrap piece, right? I didn't maintain my grip on the part, and what happened was there was this moment right about here where I had this over here, but I wasn't holding it down and up against the fence with the other one. This is one of the good things about the feather. I don't know why I didn't set up the feather, because that probably would have prevented some of that. You know, if I had put a feather here, no way would that have happened. So that's one thing I did wrong. Another thing I did wrong was I didn't turn the vacuum on before I started. But I'm looking at this, and I don't think that I created a problem. So that's good. Another thing is, at this moment, apparently, the fences are adjusted in such a way that, yeah, it's like basically perfect, right? Although the wood is curved. But if the wood had been straight, it would have perfectly gone right through here. But that's not always how you leave the machine, right? Sometimes you might leave the machine with this fence back like this, and then what you'll do is when you get over to here, if you see that there's a space down there, you grab the thumb screw and you turn it and you move the fence forward until it's touching, and then you continue, right? This is turning into an instructional video when it was just supposed to be a demonstration, but I think you get the idea. If you were coming through here and it hit the fence, then you'd also want to turn this, get it out of the way, adjust it so that that when you go back, sometimes this has a tendency to move back like that. So you just make sure you tap it forward and try to make sure you don't get a bunch of dust under there. Yeah, if you hit that, adjust it back, tap it, make sure it's vertical, and then, you know, sometimes I'll even pull it forward a little bit more and then adjust it again to make sure that there's no gap in between there, and then I'm supported the whole way, and then you go right through. So anyway, that's the machine. It works real nice, and you know, I highly recommend them. If I hadn't inherited a huge Delta from my father, I'd still have this machine. This has been our machine since we started, and we love it. We just don't need 3 routers around. I mean, shapers. We don't need 3 shapers. We barely have enough room for my father's. So anyway, it's a good machine. I recommend it highly. And if you have any questions, let me know.